record. There we go. Lovely. Thank you very much. Okay, starting off then, just a very quick word. A lot of us run our own companies. The network is set up for that purpose. It's set up to make sure that you actually can run a company and still be part of a highly professional network. So the only thing we'll say tonight is that the information and the documents we're giving you are for your work with the network. So please don't just translate them straight into your own company. It would be unethical on one level, but it would also be a slight breach of trust. And as you know, our organisation very much runs on trust. So we're opening our hearts to you now, showing you the ins and outs of what we do and inviting you on the journey with us. So please come with us as RAN. If you want to share anything that we're going through tonight, just shout, ask one of the directors, Peter, Ruta, myself, and we'll gladly give you permission to use whatever you do need to use, but please ask first. Excellent. Right, let's start off with a lovely little video. This isn't going to work, is it? Let's give it a go. Excellent. There we go. Everybody still hear me all right? Good. Seen a few nods. Excellent. Okay, so fairly abstract really, isn't it? Horizon Europe, we've all heard of H2020. Some people have been involved in it, but it feels a little bit far off and a little bit distant. What we can tell you is that Horizon Europe is very real. The money that's spoken about in the billions is real, it's there. We're luckily one of the beneficiaries of it at the moment, and we have every intention to keep tapping into this for one simple reason, and that's that we're professionals and we want to contribute to civil security for society. Everybody on this call has that same aim and that same driving ambition. Now, luckily, you saw on that the scope and the breadth of Horizon Europe is enormous, and the numbers are just mind-boggling. So you have to narrow it down, and the way we do it is through clustering. So they have clustered like-minded themes together, and the one we're interested in is Cluster 3. And the more you engage with Horizon Europe, the more you will identify that when somebody mentions cluster 3, your little ears prick up, they're talking about our business. And it's given the Gucci title of Civil Security for Society. Now, cluster 3 includes, you can see down the bottom of here, some lovely headlines: fighting crime and terrorism, cybercrime, border management, resilience infrastructures, cyber security, disaster resilient societies, including CBRN. Those are the key headings. Now, they're based upon a policy framework, and you'll be getting a copy of this presentation at the end. So all these are live links through to the actual policies that the Commission are currently operating under. So each theme within Cluster 3 follows a policy and a set of policy statements that have come out of Europe, all of them. So things like the CBRN action plan links directly through to the disaster resilient societies. Information around security of networks comes straight through to the cyber security policy, and they translate on through the policy themes into the what they call the cluster 3 calls, which is what we're going to look at in detail at the moment. Now, I sent you out a link. Hello, I've got my little dog joining me. I sent you out a link in the last email that included access to this document. This is the 214-page work program that's come out of the EU, and every call that is current is outlined in there. Now, I have to put a health warning on this at the moment, that it is still only draft. It hasn't been issued in its final form yet. So the calls we're talking about have yet to be published. So we know what they're going to be, we know what their themes are, and we know that this is a draft of what they will say. It's unlikely to change much because it's gone through lots of versions as it's come through drafting, but nonetheless, it hasn't been signed off by the Commission yet. But within this document, you will find all the detail you need. So you'll see 6 pages of this, 6 pages of lists of calls. And it's a nightmare trying to work out which ones you think might be suitable for you. And we'll talk about that in a minute, how we're narrowing it down and try and give you a little bit of focus. But you'll see some of them listed here. These are under the DRS call. DRS 01 is one that we work under at the moment, societal resilience. DRS 02 is disaster risk management and governance. So you'll see key themes here highlighted, and then a number of specific calls under each one. Each call is an invitation for you to bid, to bid with a research proposal. Now, we'll talk about how those proposals are created in a minute, but we're not talking to you as researchers per se. We're actually talking to you as practitioners who understand the subject that the researchers are looking at. Now, luckily for us, 4 years ago, the Commission recognised that actually research divorced from practitioners was pointless. It was becoming detached from reality. It couldn't be implemented or deployed, and they recognised that they needed practitioners involved at a research stage. Now, this is where RAN capitalises. RAN is a network of practitioners. All of you are practitioners in your own right, not necessarily researchers. And I'd tip my hat to anybody who's got a professorship, because there's a couple of them on the call, who probably do earn a title of academics and researchers. But nonetheless, you get the feeling that you'll get the understanding from me that we're coming to this research environment as practitioners. Luckily for us, every call has a criteria in it that it must involve in its consortium. It must involve a certain number of practitioners. Hurrah, here we are. So we almost have a golden ticket to get into these calls and to become part of the research programs. And the sort of things we can do in a research program we'll go through in a minute when we look at some of the inventory that RAN can support these research initiatives with. So all good stuff. Behind each of these headings within this 214-page document is some serious headlines and detail. So let's have a look. You get a lovely Gucci title on the top left-hand side. You get eligibility conditions. So are we actually eligible to be part of it? So let's head off one question first of all. Is the UK eligible for Horizon Europe? Is anybody strong enough to put their hand up and say they know the answer? Go on, Rook, tell us the answer.
Well, I'm glad I'll be able to state this as an outsider, but it brings me great joy to say that yes, UK is eligible because it managed to conclude the negotiations before the program was launched. Congratulations on that, John and Paul.
Thank you. Yes, you're right. It's one of the very few areas of European Commission activity that the UK is still completely embedded in. So don't fear that, oh, I can't do this because I'm UK. You can. Equally, everybody on this call, I think, can hook in through RAN and have access to Horizon Europe through either our UK entity or our Irish entity, which we'll come on to in a moment. So you have complete access. So when you look at the eligibility conditions, we are eligible. RAN as a network are eligible. And this is all in the document. Gordon, don't do that. It makes your nose look enormous. Sit back. Thank you. It's, yeah, so the eligibility, we are eligible as a network, and we'll look at some of the ways that we can actually access it. Each of the sections talks about the expected outcomes for that particular goal, gives an idea of how much money this particular one, which is, what's this, assessment of disaster risks, is around the 5 million mark. So every bid into this call will be for around 5 million. So it'll be a consortium that's formed and they'll bid for up to 5 million euros in funding to actually do this particular subject. It varies how many calls are awarded under each, how many proposals are awarded under each goal. It's only 1 or 2, but it can be up to 3 or 4 under each heading. So you can see how the money starts ramping up. Some of the calls are worth a lot more than 5 million because they anticipate far bigger consortium being involved. The biggest one we know of was one called Driver Plus that finished last June. That's the one that we inherited CMine from, and that was 40 million. So that was a very big project. We're currently involved in them running anything between 3 and 6 million. So that's the normal sort of rate. Talk about the expected outcomes and they give detail on the scope. So for every one of these headings, there is about 3 or 4 pages of detail in that 214-page document that tells you what it actually means. Yeah. So luckily you don't have to read the whole lot. If you can start narrowing down, which will help you do in a minute, narrowing down which headings you think suit your skill set, then you can just go and read 3 or 4 pages and you get a far better idea of whether actually it's for you or whether there might be a place in it for you. So let's move on then. How are they structured? Well, let's start off with how a consortium is structured. So about 5 million the bid, let's call it that. Let's say there's going to be 10 members of a consortium, each wanting 500,000 each. Okay, just simple maths. So you will have a proposal lead or a coordinating body. It will typically, now let's be clear, this will not be RAN. We're not putting our hands up for this job because it's a damn nightmare. So we're not proposing to lead any proposals ourselves. If you're feeling particularly brave, then put your hand up. But I can tell you now the administrative and the financial burdens of doing it rule us out, to be honest. We want to be a network of practitioners. We don't want to be an administrative body. But nonetheless, we know a lot of good leads. So organisations from Turkey, Germany, France, we have good partners that do actually do this as part of their day job. So they will traditionally, as I'm moving my cameras around, can you see that, or are you just seeing a pure slide? Can someone tell me?
Just the same slide, John.
Excellent, good. You're not seeing me move the camera around as I do it. That's good. Yeah, so they will typically come up with a theme. So you'll look at a call that's maybe around networking, and then somebody will say, why don't we do a project that networks drones? So there's your proposal theme. It's about networking drones. That's actually too small because you'd want to broaden it considerably and say, let's take all responders in Europe and give them a consolidated way of networking drones. that would start to sound like more of a proposal. So somebody comes up with that idea. Typically, it's the coordinator or the proposal lead, but it can be an individual partner. So if you have a bright idea, you can start talking to people about it, and we'll show you how in just a minute. And then if you're really lucky, a proposal lead will say, actually, I love that idea. Let's start drawing up a full proposal based on that. And then there'll be networking events and brokerage events that we'll talk about in a minute that will try and recruit members into a consortium that have got suitable experience in that field. So you may want the bad example I've used of networking drones, you'd probably want a drone company or two involved. You'd certainly want a national entity that manages drone capacity in disasters. Maybe France. France have got a very advanced drone capability. Maybe you'd want the French Ministry of Interior involved. You'd probably want some practitioners and users, individual response organisations. You'd probably want somebody practiced in running trials and exercising. Hey, we're really good at that. That's the sort of way that a consortium...
John, can you rewind 1 minute because you were frozen?
Oh, thank you, mate. Am I back again?
Mhm.
Yeah, you are.
Sorry, I've just had a note up to say my internet is unstable. Let's hope it hangs on for 40 minutes. So I'm describing the way that a proposal theme can come together. I'm using an example of networking drones. So if you made a proposal to network drones, you'd then say, probably you'd want users who use drones. You'd want maybe a national entity that is used to creating capabilities. I suggested France are really good at that. So maybe you'd want the Ministry of Interior from France in your consortium. You'd maybe want a technology company and some drone manufacturers involved. So you would quickly form a consortium that would support the theme you're talking about. Does that make sense so far? Good. Okay, so the way that it's formed beyond that is that now you have your theme, you have to create a project out of it. And we're talking here about maybe a €5 million project. So you would want people running separate work packages that contribute to your theme. And what I'm going to ask now is Ruth, who actually manages a work package in one of our programs, just to talk about how a project is structured in this way and the role of a work package. Ruth, please.
Thank you for this space. Well, I'd like to introduce you to the concept of a work package, but from an existential experience perspective. And what you can expect is to hear from me what we've learned designing and participating in the implementation of Horizon 2020 work packages. Well, a work package in general is a group of related tasks. In Horizon, they will often look like small projects themselves as they address complex challenges from diverse perspectives. Now, when working on a project for Horizon Europe, if you are after your new scientific ego, what will most probably resonate with you are assertive proposals with high goals, lovely buzzwords when it comes to strategic objectives, that try to project narrative synthesis built around reference documents and international strategies. All well, you will soon find yourself working on strategic planning of actions and impact multipliers, designing communication strategies, dissemination and exploitation plans, which will actually fill your work packages and tasks with content. And focus on impact as a key parameter linked to phases and deliverables. So basically your work package will mirror the overall project broken down into a series of small projects. Where you will land with this strategy is a situation that can be best described in human relationship terms, where the A says, I called, and B says, I watched it ring. it's really, really difficult to design Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe projects that go beyond just that wish to create a space where we meet, where we gain access to funds, and where we actually receive the mandate for a well-sounding project that is likely to deliver us a spot under the light on the Horizon stage. Now, if you, after engaging to contribute and to grow by learning, your work packages will tend to shift from heavy keywords and from the simple duality of good enough to cheap, old versus new / innovative, high impact versus low relevance. And you will find yourself likely embracing the multi-dimensional nature of projects linking academia, scientists, industry, and service providers to deliver new value. Increasing the depth of general knowledge about the specific subject or a societal challenge, produce high impact, high relevance outcomes, and your work package will need to bridge agendas, silos, policies, governance schemes, and structures and cultures. So this is a complex challenge that will not just translate strategic objectives of a project into a series of tasks, but will challenge you to actually place them into societal context, link them to communication, dissemination, and exploitation strategies across the life cycle of the project, and engage with the true and actual capacity of your partners to co-create and co-deliver. So this is how I capture the experience of designing work packages in that from those two perspectives. So if it's an ego trip, keywords, buzzwords, and taken from strategies will do. If you, after truly being present on a scene where we change the way we understand things and we deliver something that advances access and opportunity for everybody, then you just entering a club of multi-dimensional thinkers who are trying to find a different way of doing things. And that is a trip to be worth taking on my behalf. So that's it, John.
Thank you very much, Ruth. So you've already got a feel now. It is a club, there's no doubt. It has its own language, the same as any system, any scheme, any organisation. The language of tasks and work packages and dissemination packages, and it has its own language and its own.
Computer, öffne Tiefgarage.
Mario, do we want to hear you, Mario? There, he's gone quiet.
Sorry.
Again. That's all right, mate. It's lovely to see you. We'll carry on if that's all right, though. So it has its own language. Right, now I suspect already of the, and we've got a great attendance on this call. It's lovely to see you all. You're starting to wonder, is this really for me? Right, let me tell you straight away, easy answer, yes, it is. If we're not showing you where you have a part in the Horizon Europe, it's just because it hasn't quite emerged yet. So let's use the example I used, a really bad one about drone technology. Within a drone proposition, there will be packages looking and tasks looking at secure systems and around physical security and around use in different agencies, so policing or fire or different ways of spotting forest fires. There will be subtasks that can take your particular niche skills. Also, there are generic subjects in every project. So look throughout some of the buzzwords, dissemination. Every project, because it's a research project, is expected to speak to the world about what it's doing. Now, many of you have skills in that basic communication and dissemination work. There is a place for you in the generic. Now, I could quite happily go through the whole program, talk to each one of you and tell you roughly where you could fit. What we're hoping from this process, because there's nearly 150 of us, is that you'll start to spot them yourself and start to think for yourself where they'll come from. So don't switch off just yet, because this is a story for you, undoubtedly. Right, we're nearly there and we're nearly coming up to a lovely little break, natural break in the process. So for RAN, it looks like a team of us working either on a task or a work package, but within a project. So we've been part of building the proposal, and we'll talk about the timelines and the methodology for that shortly. It's gone in as a bid around about August. It's come out as a lovely fanfare just around Christmas time to say, yes, RAN, you're part of a bid that's won, at which point we start celebrating. For nearly half an hour we celebrate, and then after that we start worrying about, oh God, we said we were going to do that. How can we possibly achieve it? So then the headaches start. But nonetheless, there will be a team, some of which will be named in the proposal. So where you've got key advisors and key skills, we'll often name them in the proposal. So we'll put 4 or 5 CVs through with a particular proposal to show how we can support it. But there'll also probably be another team of 4 or 5 behind the scenes that will be used in the project, but won't be named in it, so or named in the proposal. So loads of opportunity to get involved. We manage this through the centre. It's a highly regulated environment to operate in for RAN. So it's all about governance and financial probity and monitoring time spent, all those things. That's all done at the centre. You don't have to worry about that too much. But then for the advisors, we can have work package leads, task leads, subject matter experts, just people working for the odd day or two on specific issues. I'm thinking, Jörg, can you think of an example where we used an individual advisor just for a few days in a project? Because I can name the ones that have led work packages. Can you name people that we've just used briefly? That's woken you up, hasn't it? You're muted, mate.
Oh, help. Well, not in the Horizon 2020. I know of Gisli, Dave, and
that was unkind of me. I thought we did an entire work package around international disaster risk reduction that used individual advisors.
Oh yes, and that
yes,
and
you
well.
headed
Yes, all right. In the Resolog, and well, that was in work package 2 and then task 2.5, and it was this what we need. We had to do some international benchmarking on resilience measurement methodologies, and we were helped with by help. And then the next time, please warn me, because I'm so horrible in remembering names.
Okay, let's put you out of your misery here.
But I think there were 3 of us involved in that one. But I'm quite used to involve that kind of 3 or 4 or 5 day work for people.
Yeah.
Just tapping the knowledge in the network, but also the connections we have in the network.
Okay, good.
And in this one we especially used the Marcelo Sabana in Paraguay to tap off his knowledge of the South American market and the cities over there. Lovely.
Thank you for that. That was about as unkind as I can be. I'm sorry, Jörg. You can go back and relax. I promise I won't do it to you again. Sorry. Okay, so let's talk. I just realised I never included it anywhere else. Day rates, variable, can be anything around the 300 to 400 euros a day mark. That's the general rate. We don't go promising a number of days. Generally, we give out a task with an amount of money attached to it. It's a far easier way of managing it, but it varies. Now that may not sound brilliant to some of you. It may sound really good to others. The reality is they're 3-year engagements. So once you're engaged in a project, it can be an ongoing engagement that gives you a fairly steady income. So I won't go into any greater detail, but I was just thinking that actually, if I was going to be sat there in your shoes, it's one of the things I'd be thinking about. What's it worth to me? Of course, if you can work really quickly, then that day rate's very good. If you work slowly, the day rate is appalling. There we go. Right. I don't want to go much further with this. We're going to start talking about RAN and you now, if that's okay with everybody. I'm just having a quick look. Have we got anything on the chat that needs addressing, or I'll come to that in just a moment. Lovely. Thank you for that. I'll come on to it in a moment. Right. What can RAN do to help you? What have the Romans ever done for us? Lovely. So that's your network, and what can it do for you? Okay, well, RAN is your ticket to Horizon Europe. And the reasons are quite simple. There's some quite strict criteria to being involved in a project, and a lot of them are based around the grant agreement process. So you enter a contract with the Commission to undertake certain tasks for money, and they're, funnily enough, quite strict about who they give this kind of level of money to. 2 years minimum of the EU credentials, so you must be involved with them for 2 years. You must be positively trading in euros. You must be based in Europe or an associated member state. You must be registered with a PIC, which is a number that the European Commission give you, personal identification number to actually work on Horizon programs. You must be tax registered in the EU and be very transparent in your tax dealings. You sometimes, depending on which call it is, need support from your national coordinator, and that varies from country to country who your national coordinator will be. And for some projects, you require certain security clearances from your own member state as well. Particularly on some of the calls we're going to be talking about shortly, you will actually be required to get that security clearance. If you haven't got it, don't worry. There's plenty of activities that don't need it. It's just that they'll sometimes ask the organisation to be approved.
John?
So yes, who shouted?
Rob Chilcott.
Hi, Rob. Jump in, mate.
Is this specific to a company or an individual?
No, there is no route in for an individual, Rob. An individual enters through a company. So if you're named as part of a consortium might engage you, or an individual member of a consortium, but you won't be invited to work on a Horizon Europe program as an individual person. And that's really the pitch we're making to you. RAN is that route in now.
Yep.
Is that okay? Thank you. Right, let's have a look at a couple of projects we're doing at the moment. We're not going to go into any great depth on these at the moment. Resolok has been running just for about 2 years now. Really pleased with that. You can see it's about innovation of disaster risk resilience at a strategic level in a number of different localities around Greece, Italy, where else? Bulgaria, and no doubt other places. Where else? Come on, Root, you can't sit there smoking. You know these countries off the top of your head, and you're grinning at me as I dry up. Anyway, a number of different, you're not helping, are you? A number of different localities around Europe, led by a German coordinating body called Fraunhofer. Internationally, very good partners. I'm not going to comment on the actual partner we're working with, but as an international company, Fraunhofer are an extremely credible and powerful player that we've got good relationships with. We've got another one just starting now called TeamAware. This is interesting. This is artificial intelligence and AR for responders, not just fire responders, even though it's got a red logo at the moment. And this is a very large program. I think 7 million set to run over the next 3 years. Again, we're doing a lot of trialing with them to support that program. That only just started now. So that's our current credentials. So what has RAN got to offer into the community? Well, this is a simple one, isn't it? You know what I'm going to say. It's you guys. Your expertise and skills are desperately needed by researchers in Horizon Europe. We've got the credibility, the organisation and the corridor to take you in there, but we need your skills to bring through. So the sort of thing we're telling Europe at the moment that you bring. We've got over 100 civil protection security experts. As you know, I'll keep saying it, we're just about 150 now. We're a big organisation of practitioners. We're no longer a little player in Europe because we're a relatively unusual construct of business. We're actually really big. We're also neutral. We're not aligned to a particular country. That's really powerful for us. We can bring in a number of practitioners from around the world who have no axe to grind. They're not there to show that France has got the most capable forest firefighting capacity in the world. They're there to show what's right about forest firefighting. We've got relevant backgrounds around security, fire and rescue, emergency medical, but also increasingly a generic emergency management and niche capability. Rob keeps chipping in. Rob is an eminent expert in the field of CBRN, decontamination, a professor in his own right with Hertfordshire, but we have some real strong niche players on the call today, all of which are learning. And most of all, supported by a strong project management, financial management, legal and research capability. RAN are really well thought of for the way we present ourselves and the way we govern ourselves. Financially, absolutely squeaky clean. The confidentiality statement I put up there is us putting our reputation on the line every time we do this kind of event, because we're exposing the ability for you to make us look not quite right. But actually we govern it really tightly. So we'll, don't worry, we'll disown you and run away if you do anything we don't like. But nonetheless, use our credibility as a passport into the process. More than that, really strong partnership pedigree. At last count, we had 240 named partners in Europe. That's people that we can draw in formally to help form consortiums, people that know us and people that will want to work with us going forward. So we've got the ability to help create consortium. We never want to lead them for reasons I said earlier. We're really good at proposals development. Writing work packages now seems to be second nature to us. We can help you. You may have the technical knowledge, but we can help create and give you frameworks to actually make them make sense and make them score through the evaluation process. We've got some hard assets that you know about that are more powerful than you'll probably ever realize. So the Driver Plus Centre of Expertise gives us access to over 140 new solutions and innovative solutions, technology solutions for responders. We manage the database for that with some Austrian colleagues. You all know about CMINE. You're seeing the tip of the iceberg with CMINE. It's going from strength to strength with Commission support. So as an organisation, enormous credibility that you can come through on the inside track and use to your advantage now. So what do we actually offer? We can provide practitioners and users. That's a reference to you individually. Operational evaluation and improvement we're really good at, not just as an organisation, but you as individuals have got good pedigrees for that. Trial design is something we're getting increasingly good at on the back of the Driver Plus work that we've done over the last 2 years. Networking, we bring in practitioners from all over the place. Comms Root is currently leading a work package on communications on a Horizon 2020 project. Getting good at that. Dissemination, we've mentioned. Our pedigree is strong. Niche operational experience. Every one of you carries an amazing niche, so very specialist operational background. And we are the ones that are capable of bridging the gap between researchers and the real world. We've got one work package at the moment that we've actually titled that, where Resolute meets the real world, we've called it, because they're all little researchers sat in their offices not quite realising that there are real practitioners out there, and that's what we're doing. So we're good at work package leadership. So all in all, a fairly good portfolio to help you and support you. Right, we're running towards the end now. I'm desperate not to go over the hour mark and give you a good, strong look forward. Okay. We spoke earlier about the number of calls that there are at the moment. We can double those, luckily, because we are quite legitimate in making proposals. So, sorry, let's restart this. We want to give exclusivity agreements to each consortium we're in. So if we have one individual going for a particular call, we will not go for another one. We won't compete against ourselves. So if somebody is going forward for one of the Disaster Resilient Society calls or the security research calls, we will give an undertaking called a declaration of honour to that consortium that we won't compete with them. Luckily, we have two companies, so we can have two bites of the cherry without competing with them. We can do one bid through the European company and one bid through the UK company. So we're lucky there to be able to do that. Let's narrow it down. This list is a really helpful list. So we now take it from 40 odd potential calls down to a grand total of 12, where we think RAN has particular strength and pedigree. We're now going to ask you to have a look at this 12 and see whether you think any of them resonate with your skills. Okay, so it's not complicated. We've reduced it down from 40 to 12, and we're going to ask you, have a look at these, pick one or two of them, and then go and read the detail. So we've taken 40 headings down, and we're going to ask you to take it down yourself down to one or two. We're then going to point you to the work program, which actually will take each of your headings that you think you might live in and take that detail down. So you go from 214 pages to read to 7. And that way we're going to try and help you focus on where your skills might fit within Horizon Europe. I'll carry on the list here. Same list. All of this is going to be available to you. It's already on the in the document repository, but we'll make sure you've got this. Okay. Now I know, and I can tell you right now, you have got skills. Every one of you have got skills that can play into one of these headings, or two of these headings, or maybe even more. And our job now is to make sure that you believe it as much as we know it. We know it. We want you to pitch into this environment. Our job now is to try and help you and open up the environment for you. Okay, I'm going to come on to next steps now. Then we're going to come back just in the last 10 minutes to have a look at the chat questions and to see if there's any other questions we can help. So next steps. Have a look at this list and see which ones suit you. So a list of 12, see just from the headings, those that immediately float your boat, tick your box, tickle your fancy. Just have a look at which ones you think might be right. Go away and read the detail in the work program. As I say, there's only 7 pages for you to read if you choose 2 headings. You should be able to find it for a simple word search in the PDF document. Have a think about where you might fit. Have a think about where your niche skills might fit into a big proposal. Don't think small. Think about something that's going to solve Europe's problems, not about a bright idea you had that might help a fire brigade or a police service. That's no help. Think of one that will solve a security issue for all of Europe, and then you'll be starting to think on the right scale and think about where you might fit into that. Let us know. Let me know. We can tap the tiller. We can gently nudge you in the right direction. We're not experts in the field you're experts in. In issues of security, I have no idea, but we do know how the program works, what scores, what consortium we'll be looking for, so we can help you hopefully. So we're just going to get you talking to us and letting us know what you think works for you, where you might like to get involved. We're going to create a spreadsheet of this. It's already created, where we keep a register of who's interested in what, so we can start to build RAN teams and get you talking. As I say, we need to do a bit of consolidation because we're only going to be supporting 1 call from RAN for each subject. Sorry, one proposal for each call. And they're highly competed, as I said in the introduction to the invite to this call, highly competed. And I would guess this year, maybe 1 in 15 is going to succeed, maybe. Globally, 1 in 10 maybe. Some calls get very few proposals because they're so niche, they only get a handful of proposals. It's really clever. If you can spot them and get in on them, your odds suddenly go from 1 in 15 on a DRS call up to 1 in 3 because there's only going to be 3 proposals in, and they will fund them as long as they're credible. There's a brokerage event coming up, which I'll send you more details for. I've already given you something in the email a couple of days ago. I think gave you a link for it. And there you'll hear people talking about your chosen subjects. So you'll hear other organisations talking about their proposals. Now, just to come back, I think, Marcus, you said, can we put forward our own proposals? The answer is yes, but you're going to have to be blooming good to persuade an international consortium to back your idea. That's a really big ask. Better still is to go to the brokerage event, spot the big players that have already got ideas that might naturally host your mini idea. That's a far better strategy. Otherwise, you'll end up investing an awful lot of energy in gaining support for a proposal that actually may never make it over the finishing line for a proposal, never mind for successful proposal. So the brokerage event will be really helpful. It's not critical, but we'll give you access to it so you can actually see what's going on. And from that, you'll be going in there as a RAN advisor with your ears open, with your 2 specific subjects, 1 or 2 specific subjects, and you'll get excited by 1 or 2 of the suggestions. That's what typically happens. And then you'll come back to us, say, can you please reach out to them and involve me? And we'll reach out, try and do the declarations of honour and the confidentiality agreements that allow us into a consortium, and then we'll open the door for you to talk to them about your bright ideas and how you can support them. We're going to follow this up with a call in mid-May. That's only 2.5 weeks away. Our next call of this nature is going to be in 2.5 weeks' time, and we're going to structure it far more freely than today. So it's going to be a Q&A session. Look, I've got these 2. Is anybody else interested in them? Who do we think might front this up at the brokerage event? Brokerage event isn't until the end of May. I think it's the last day of May and the first day of June. So we've got another month yet to get our act together. So we'll have another call mid-May, just so we've got our team starting to form. And this is all emerging thinking. June and July is absolutely frantic writing. That's when you write the proposals. And believe me, they are enormous. We will support you with things like the costing and the financial work, and all the governance and undertakings behind the scene, but actually structuring your thoughts into a proposal takes time, and you do have to liaise with other work package leads as it forms to make sure that your particular bit fits in with the rest of the research project. So June and July can be frantic times. They submit in August. I think the last day of August off the top of my head, just looking for a nod from somebody else that remembers. It's the end of August-ish, I think. And then comes the long wait, because you've got best part of 6 months to wait for the outcomes. Successful, generally known just before Christmas. Not successful, probably just after Christmas. So they let you have your Christmas in the vague hope that you might have won something. But as I said, discreetly, the successful people have already been notified. Lovely. Nearly there now. The brokerage event, we'll share this with you. You've already got a link in your the last email I sent you, but I'll send around this again afterwards. This is the brokerage event. We'll give you the basic text to put in your registration that says you're part of RAN. We are making the point, please don't go to this event as your own company. If you do that, we will have to shut you down, because there is a large commercial component to all of these processes. We're not doing it to be nasty or to make sure we're at the front. We're doing it because we have to sign off that you're part of RAN. We can't sign off that you're part of another company. You'd have to register yourself with the commission and do that yourself. So when you register for the event, do it as RAN. We'll give you the words, we'll give you the introduction that will make sure you get a fairly strong profile. Final slide from me, and what's been death by PowerPoint, is that all the documents and files that we've spoken about are in the group. So when you go into the RAN group on CMINE, you'll see their docs and files, and you'll see a folder marked Horizon Europe. The presentations, the videos, the documents are already loaded in there, and I'll be sending you out this presentation shortly after. Now, I'm currently conflicted about how widely we share this information. I want you that are showing an interest to have an advantage by the fact you're showing an interest. I don't want to just throw everything out to the whole network. I want you guys who have made the time to come tonight to be the ones that benefit from this information and get our full support. So I'm just trying to work out how do I do that without unfairly excluding everybody, particularly people that couldn't quite make it this evening. So there we go. I'm going to stop sharing now, ask everyone to switch their cameras on, and we'll come back as a team for a moment. Let's have a look at the chat questions. Oh, look. Oh, dear. I might need a minute to do this, mightn't I? Okay. We said about, do we have the ability to put out ideas for members? Rob, hopefully we've answered that a little bit. We're going to come back together in 2.5 weeks to actually look at what teams are forming, or whether you're a lone wolf. If you're a lone wolf, we'll back you just the same, but it'll be helpful to know that. Thank you, Nikolai. Lovely to see you, mate. Marcus, I think I'd addressed yours. Yes, you can bring your potential themes in, but we would prefer you to look for opportunities to make those themes part of a larger proposal, if possible, because we're not looking to form a consortium in our own right. Diego, no, none at all. None at all. You can, it's where you're working through. So if you're working through RAN, you're able to work for Horizon Europe. Doesn't matter where you live. You don't have to be an EU national to work on a Horizon Europe program. And we've already used a number of people. Actually, I thought we'd already used you, but I may have got a bit confused about that. Mario, I have to sell my car. Thank you. Does Horizon have a European user or international focus? Yes, this is really simple. Yes, it is all about Europe and a secure society for Europe. That's what it's about. It doesn't extend beyond, but it does extend to other participating states. So, for example, the project we're just starting for TeamAware is led by Turkey. Large proportion of the partners are from Turkey, done as, and I'm looking at Zeynep. Zeynep, it's a long time since we've seen you. Hi there. Have we got any other Turkish people on the calls? No, it's lovely to see you, Zeynep. Lovely. So yes, there are other participating states involved, as the UK are now, funnily enough. So there we go. That was a whistle-stop tour. Now, I didn't know how to take a subject the size of a planet, make it kind of relevant to RAN, and leave the door open for you to do a little bit of work. Thank you, Claire. That's kind of you. Any questions at all that we can take up, or anything I haven't answered? I'm going to go quiet now and just ask you, put your hand up or wave, and I'll invite you to speak if that's okay. Who wants to wave? Martin, was that you waving, or were you just pointing at your camera?
A question in the chat from Sue, John.
Is there, Chris? Thank you.
I mean, take it as a wave if you want it to be a wave, but I was just pointing at something.
That's good, thank you. I have to find my way back to the chat now. Chris, can you read out the question, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we spot another call that we could contribute to, but that's not on your list, can we raise that?
Absolutely, yes, please. I've done my best, but I don't know what you know. If you're seeing other stuff in those headings, please do. Just drop me a note and have a read of the 3 or 4 pages that relate to it in the work package, in the work program, and shift our focus. We all come from our own backgrounds, and unfortunately we're wearing blinkers, Sue. So it's
Sue, I think
something, please.
I think there is more around the CT arena, Sue.
Yeah, CT and the organised crime aspect, I was thinking of in particular.
That's brilliant. So you know that RAN is expanding considerably at the moment and going more into the security and policing arena. We rely on you spotting where that's needed. I think between Chris, yourself, Marcus, and a few others, you'll hopefully take us on that journey. Thank you. Anybody else want to wave? What about Rob? Rob, you've been involved before. We know you have, because some of our CBRN processes in the UK come from a Horizon 2020 project.
We keep quoting you, Rob. That's why.
We do consistently. We swear about you as well.
I mean, my experience is such that I know that it's not a good idea to be a coordinator.
Yeah.
We did one project. It was for, I think it was a couple of million euros. And we ended up having to pay back about a quarter of that because somebody put some money into a pencil budget instead of a pen budget. And the rules are, they're crazy. So I'm glad that there's no coordination role.
No, absolutely. Thank you for that. We do guard the governance side of it fiercely. You've heard me going on about confidentiality and the arrangements for declarations of honour. We will protect RAN in this process. We will protect the financial probity. That won't hurt you. It means it's actually positive for you. It means you've got someone doing that for you. So that's good. Thank you very much. Claire, I didn't say hello to you. You joined us a little bit late. And Simon, nice to see you on the call. Gisley, what are you asking, my friend? Looking beyond EU. Oh, look, it is, isn't it? Okay, Gisley, you've just called me a liar, and that's lovely. If you want to have a look at that and it's appropriate to your skill set, please do, mate.
No, I just noticed when I was reading through all the calls that there was one that actually spoke about things outside of EU and associated states. So might be interesting for those of us who've actually worked outside of the Europe with some of the internationals, because we could pull in some good partners on that as well.
Great. That's really helpful. Thank you, mate. Lovely. Okay, I'm going to leave you now. Then we're at our hours up. We did it within the time. Thank you very much for putting up with my monotonous briefing. Thank you for the kind words in the chat. Very much appreciated. This was starting with a clean sheet of paper, and we've not done it before. Same with everything in RAN. We make it up as we go along. Luckily, we're really professional individuals, so we tend to get it right. Rasmus, I'm going to come to you before I shut down the meeting, mate, because you've got your hand up. What would you like to say, my friend? Oh, you're clapping. That's nice. Oh, it's a clap. I thought it was a hand up. That's really kind of you. Thanks, Gary. Lovely. Okay, so I'm going to put out a call just to you guys for the follow-up meeting. All right, that's my intention at the moment, is that we've started to form our team. I will include a couple of people that physically couldn't make it tonight, and I will make some information to other people. But basically, you are the RAN Horizon Europe team. Absolutely brilliant to have you on board, and let's see how we get on. Any final words from anyone? Are all happy? Oh, look at those smiley faces. Lovely. Thanks as always for all the support. Look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you, John.
See you guys. Take care.
Welcome. Thank you.
Take care. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.